What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's pandemic update for Saturday, May 13th, 2023. Hopefully everyone's staying safe. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you tested negative. If you're new to my channel, this is the video that we do every day with the latest news regarding the pandemic and other health topics such as celebrity news, updates on monkeypox, measles, tuberculosis, any virus that's transmitting, and we give the latest news on cases being reported or data surrounding it, and even new treatments and stuff like that. So let's start off with today's update, shall we? And we actually do have a COVID positive to report on today. Filippo Ganna, who is a cyclist, an Italian cyclist. He is having to withdraw from a race that he was supposed to be in because he has tested positive for COVID. And of course, like all other cases that we report on here, they put the words, he has displayed mild flu-like symptoms. You know, the phrase that they always like to use. Normally we would have started our video off with India, but I'm actually not seeing an update out of India today. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's because their cases are down. They're not going to report on weekends now. I don't know. Hopefully I can see a report on India. If I do find something on India later today, I will tweet it out on my Twitter page. Alright, moving on to this. This is not so much a news story. I guess you could say it's a news story. It's not from a news site. It's actually from the CDC. And this is something I want you to pay very close attention to. Because the CDC, though the pandemic emergency has ended, the CDC has quietly change their guidance a little bit. And I was almost going to do a separate video on this, but I figured, no, I won't do a separate video on this. I will do it within today's update because, in case you've forgotten, we are doing a separate video later on today on COVID in nursing homes because, you know, it is Mother's Day weekend. There's a potential for spread on that. Well, anywho, check this out here. CDC says, protect your child from COVID-19, the flu, and other illnesses. I mean, they quietly changed something here. Let's read quite a few things here. During the school year, kids tend to get sick more often and spread germs to their friends. COVID-19, this is what I really want you to pay most attention to. COVID-19 can cause serious health problems, so it's more important than ever to protect your child's health. Oh, hello. Now they're admitting COVID can cause serious health problems in a child's health. Do you remember back at the beginning of the pandemic, they said children weren't really at risk to get bad disease? Now all of a sudden they're admitting it can happen. And we need to help keep our kids safe. So, yeah, very concerning, for one, that they added this after the pandemic emergency ended. But also, there is some good out of this. They're finally acknowledging it, but they're not making a big headline about it. You really had to dig deep to find this. This is not something you're seeing on the news. This is not something they're talking about. This is something that you have to do your own due diligence on, and you have to research and find yourself. That's where I come into play. I was alerted to this last night. There were multiple people tweeting about this, and I clicked on it. I said, wow, the CDC is finally recognizing that children can get serious illness from COVID. And you know what? Let's scroll down here. It's here somewhere. They're actually telling, here it is. Get this. This is the biggest surprise of all. They're actually saying, consider having your child wear a mask to school. That's right. They're saying kids should mask in school. Children ages 2 years and older can also wear a mask to school. If your child has a disability or chronic health condition, wearing a mask can give extra protection to help them stay healthy. You know, not just any old mask. One of these, N95s. You got to do it. And it says, if your child has a disability or chronic health condition, wearing a mask can give extra protection to help them stay healthy. Masks also help to prevent children from spreading COVID-19 to other people around them. Make sure the mask covers your nose and your mouth. So this is fantastic that the CD is finally taking this more serious. I'm holding out hope that the new CDC director is going to be much better and this is a great start. So we'll see what happens. All right. Speaking of kids and younger people, COVID causing long-term health problems for many younger people. I felt so defeated, and I think we might have included this in an update the other day, but this is I wanted to show this headline again because it's so true. This is why masking is so important for your kids in school. The health problems that they can get from COVID at a young age, it can affect them for the rest of their life. So again, having your child mask when they go to school, I know you don't want to hear it. I know there's a lot of pressure. Well, if I wear a mask in school, I'll get made fun of by another person. No, you'll actually be the one that does not get long COVID. Your child will not be the one that does not get long COVID, while the other ones who make fun of kids for wearing these masks, guess what? The joke's going to be on them because they're going to have to deal with the health problems later on in life. I mean, this coronavirus has only been around since 2020. We really don't know what the long-term effects are. We're starting to see some cases now where people who tested positive a couple years ago are starting to have, health issues they've never had before, and it's just now showing up 3 years later. There's been a lot of people who've tested positive this year, last year, year before, that maybe haven't seen the long-term effects they're going to deal with just yet. So it's a good idea to keep masking. I recommend it. I'm not telling you that you have to. I'm just suggesting it, recommend it. I'm not demanding you to do it. As a lot of people say, oh, you can't force so-and-so. No, you're right, I can't force. But I can advise you what's good to do for the good of your health. As COVID-19 emergencies end, states' new cases rise. Yeah, this is my state here in Pennsylvania. The emergency has ended, but quite frankly, here in Pennsylvania, cases are rising. And it's not a small rise. This is a fairly decent-sized rise. The Pennsylvania Department of Health's weekly updates show that there are 1,977 new cases of COVID-19, 4 to 7 days through Tuesday, up from 1,326. So if you think about it, that is over 651, I think that comes out to, right? 651 cases more than the previous week. And remember, at-home tests do not get counted. I don't know if they're adding reinfections into this, but the point is, that's a big increase considering we missed so many cases in my state. And it's the first increase since mid-February. This is a fairly big increase, and it's concerning. And we've been seeing ambulance calls. Well, you'll see a little bit later. Ambulance calls have been running high in Philadelphia, and yesterday was really bad. I'll show you the number here shortly here. Take a look at this. Americans in most states will no longer receive COVID exposure notifications on phones. That's right, the COVID notifications, the exposure ones, Apple and Android, being discontinued. So you will not see that anymore. This is a bad headline. Fatigue in long COVID patients found to be impacted on the nervous system. So people who are having long COVID, it's actually doing some damage to the nervous system. That's not good. And see, the more we go on, the longer time goes on from 2020, the more harm we're finding out. And I'm not saying all these happened from the original strain, but each individual strain of COVID is doing its own set of damage. It's really bad. I mean, even in vaccinated people, we're seeing these things happen. All right, the saga continues with Jamie Foxx. The twists and turns. This is like a soap opera. Here's the latest update. Remember, we thought he was not doing well. He's still in the hospital. Surprise! Jamie Foxx's daughter says actor's been out of the hospital for weeks after medical emergency. So he's been out of the hospital. He even took a little athletic the other day. He played a game of pickleball. So apparently he's starting to do better. I would continue to pray for Jamie Foxx because, honestly, I don't know what to believe at this point, but his daughter's saying he's out of the hospital. All right, moving on to this. This is Walgreens. We'll get a new update out of Walgreens on Monday. I'm glad that they're back to weekly updates. That's a good thing. Moving on now to wastewater. Not much to report here. As you know, all 4 regions are continuing to drop. We are going to do a full wastewater update video tomorrow. We're going to go region by region. We'll go over a lot of different water sites like we always do. Tend to do that on Sunday morning, and this week's going to be no different. CDC transmission map doesn't exist anymore. Taking a look at the latest variants, XBB.1.5 is at 64%, XBB.1.16 is at 14.3%, XBB.1.91 is at 9.2%, XBB.1.92 is at 4%, XBB.2.3 is at 3.5%, and XBB.1.51 is at 2.4%, and then this FD.2, which is all out there by itself, at 1.8%. Taking a look here, I wanted to show Hubbub World. They haven't updated yet. I'll show that into tomorrow's update. Maybe they won't update on weekend. That's fine. We have more than enough stuff here to report to you today. New Jersey, on the most recent update, had 173 cases. Probable cases is 141. One lab confirmed death and one hospital reported death. Taking a look at the hospital situation in New Jersey, as you know, the hospitalizations have been rising in New Jersey. But look at today. We're going to zoom this all the way into today. They did drop ever so slightly, so that is good to see. 8 people are in the ventilator. 192 people in the hospital today. ICUs are at 25, and ICUs have been pretty, for the most part, holding steady here, just bouncing off the bottom, like what we've been calling it up in New York State. And more on New York State in a moment. Alright, Philadelphia ambulance calls for yesterday. It was very high, but I got to give you a disclaimer. We had 89 degrees, at least at my location. It was 89 degrees yesterday. Some places got near 90. It was a bad air quality day. But overall, you just saw Pennsylvania is starting to rise on cases. And as you know, ambulance calls have been elevated in Philadelphia for well over a week now. Yeah, 843 EMS incidents yesterday. That is super high. That is not good. It's concerning. Hopefully when we get today's number tomorrow, hopefully it's lower. I can tell you, as of the time of me recording this video, at least in the suburbs, it's not that busy today. So that's good news. Montgomery County was below 10 calls. Chester County, I think, was approaching 10 calls, but Montgomery County being below 10 calls in the middle of the day, that's actually relatively low, because if you've been following me, I've been telling you, at least on Twitter, sometimes it gets as high as to over 20. Sometimes when it's really, really busy, we see as high as 25. So under 10, we'll take that, but Philadelphia County, yeah, this is deeply concerning. Our ambulance calls continue to be high, and this is the highest we've seen yet, and as you know, this only happens when there's a COVID wave, so likely there's probably a hidden wave going on in our state right now. Mount Nittany Medical Center, it's the only hospital in Center County, Pennsylvania, gives us a sense of what's going on in a rural setting. Just 4 people in the hospital. New York State, they don't update on the weekends. The most recent update, 708 cases, 1.7% positivity, and the 7-day average is 1.9%. Hospitalizations are currently in New York State. Let's zoom this in to make it easier to see. Current hospitalizations are, actually we have to refresh this. They're not all that high right now. They're below, I think the last update I saw, they were down to approaching about 600 some. So, I mean, that's not bad. But eventually, at some point, they're going to start rising. Yep, see, it's the weekend. On the weekends, the New York State site goes wonky on us. We'll have another update on New York State when they come in again on Monday. Quickly taking a look at some international data. South Korea reports another 19,024 cases, 6 deaths. Russia reports 3,000 cases, 27 deaths. Vietnam added another 1,700 cases. Indonesia, another 1,200 cases. And 25 more deaths. A lot of countries do not update over the weekend because it's just a sign of the time. When the World Health Organization ended their emergency, that made us lose more data, but at least we will have another update next week on the international variants. Alright, that does it for the Saturday edition of the Pandemic Update. Check back here again later on. We're going to do a little thing about COVID in nursing homes and things you can do to stay safe if you're going to be visiting someone in a nursing home tomorrow for Mother's Day. I need you to do a few things until we come back next time. First off, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. I need you to continue to test negative. And, of course, until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching.